Good morning. Good morning. It's showing. Okay, here we go. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Courageous Conversations. I'm Victoria Lorient-Faibish, and oh my gosh, can you believe it? I have Codi Shewan here.
Hey, everybody.
The wonderful and talented and gorgeous. And it's his birthday.
You're too kind. Yes, it is. It is my birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
I love it.
Happy birthday to you.
You're amazing.
We could do some lounge.
I can handle it today.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
Yeah, I love my birthday.
Yeah, so do I. You know, so many people say, don't celebrate this and that. So, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. On Courageous Conversations, one of the things that is so important is sharing is caring. So, if what we're going to be talking about, which is about everyday legacy, about are you waiting to die to leave your legacy, but really it's about doing the opposite. It's being alive and leaving a legacy, which is what we're going to talk about with this wonderful man. If this resonates with you, please share. And I'm going to just do a moment of sharing on just different groups. And if you feel that this is important to you and you feel that you want to sort of participate in that process, I would really appreciate that you share. Hi, Wayne. How are you?
Hey, Wayne.
Do you know Wayne?
I don't.
Okay. Wayne's a good friend. Cody's a new friend. I think Wayne is someone you'll meet one day.
Right.
Wendy, hi. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm doing a little bit of sharing, and if you feel that this topic is moving you and resonating with you, please do share, because at this point, I really feel like the planet needs to hear these inspirational conversations. And by the way, Courageous Conversations is where it's at. So here we go. I'm just doing a little bit of sharing. And just, Cody, tell us a little bit about how you came to Everyday Legacy as
Sure.
I'm sharing.
Yeah, so my almost entire career has actually been in the funeral service world.
Which I find mind-blowing, by the way.
Yeah, most people don't suspect that.
I did not suspect that at all.
Yeah, so I went to school for mortuary science, studied funeral service education, and graduated a few years ago, we'll say, almost 20 years ago now.
Wow.
And started working in that world. And one of the things I quickly realized through all of the eulogies that were being offered up and at services was that legacy, the definition that we've been taught to know about legacy, is very, very wrong.
What is the right definition?
So many people, if you Google search legacy, if
the
you
word legacy,
think about the word legacy, it's defined as something we leave.
Defined as something we leave. Okay.
And so often I think that's such a shame. If we could redefine legacy to be something that we live every single day, hence Everyday Legacy.
Everyday Legacy.
We could realize the impact that we can make while we're still here, and double down on that to really make an even bigger impact.
So just speak a little louder. And the other thing I want to say is that when I hear you say that, when you redefine the concept of legacy, what I'm actually hearing is giving people a more urgent purpose to their life now.
Yeah.
Does that resonate?
It does, for sure. I sat around the arrangement table so many times with families.
Oh.
And one of the chapters in my book is called Echoes of Regret.
Echoes of Regret.
Echoes of Regret. And it was me hearing things like, I wish I would have, I wish we could have, I wish we might have. And the truth was that they couldn't do those things anymore. The person had died. Oh. And so, but the truth of it, Victoria, is that through all of those conversations, what I heard was, I could have, we could have done these things.
We could have done
I could have done that. Which the word "could" defines, a choice. So really, we could have done those things, but we didn't. We chose not to. And
consciously chose not to, or was it a subconscious choice?
It's probably different for everybody,
right.
Depending on the situation, the relationship. But the truth is that what I realized is that we can start to realize our impact while we're still here, and we can negate those echoes of regret.
So when a person starts to look at their impact while they're still here, what are the kinds of things that start to bubble up for them that causes them the spark, the impetus to do something different?
I think that's all defined by one question, and that is, how do you want to be remembered? Which is a bit, it's a bit, some people would say macabre. It's a bit, why do I want to think about the end? But when you realize how powerfully transformational thinking about that can be, just for a brief moment in time, it enables you to really reframe how you're showing up every single day. Some people are what I call bruised by perspective.
Right.
And that is, a health scare,
right.
a sudden transition, such as maybe the divorce or a loss of a loved one.
Oh, okay, so that's just like a defining moment.
A defining moment that they say, whoa, okay, that bruised me. That was a wake-up call. That's going to be a shift.
Okay.
But for, not everybody experiences those sort of wake-up calls.
Right.
We it's like we're living in the apocalypse some days, walking zombies all over the place.
It's so
we're
true.
just going through the motions of life. And so not everybody has that defining moment, as you call it, that wake-up moment. And so for me, one of the things that I like to do through workshops and exercises that I do is actually define that moment through understanding how you would want to be remembered.
So tell us a little bit, tell everyone out there just a little bit of your workshop in terms of how you do define that moment.
Well,
clarify that moment.
One of the things that I think really helps people define that is writing your own eulogy. And that is...
Oh my God!
It's powerful, let me tell you. I did it once.
You just blew my ever-loving mind.
I did it once years ago, and it makes it very clear what's important. And when I say what, I should redefine that. It's actually never what, it's who. And, one of the exercises that I take them through is an old palliative care exercise that was done in training for palliative care workers years ago.
Right.
And essentially, what it does is has people write down 4 lanes of 5 things. One of the lanes is things that you love to do. One of the lanes is, personal possessions that you love. And then there's the other lane. But the last lane is people that you love, individuals. And throughout the story, as I tell it in the workshop, as it was designed, what it does is causes people to eliminate some things as their faculties diminish in the story.
Aha.
And what I see time and time again is that in that last lane, that people lane, that's the one that's left.
Wow.
That we would abandon everything else we had but for people.
People.
Yeah, people.
Let me just acknowledge a couple of people. Hi, Linda. Hi, Daniel. Hi, Raisa. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, everybody.
I'm so glad you're joining us this morning with the really incomparable energy that is Codi Shewan. When I met you at Speaker Slam, the very first time I went to Speaker Slam, you were like this shining, bright energy that was just so smiley, and we hugged a beautiful bear hug.
We did.
And I was like, who the hell is this guy? This guy is so cool. This guy is so special. And then I find out that he does this incredible work, this everyday legacy work. And then I find out you used to be a funeral director and an embalmer, which kind of blew my mind a little bit because you have this upfront, up close experience with death. Not everyone, like I was with my father when I was 24 years old. When he passed away, I was the only person in the room when he died. Right. And for me, even though that was really, really, really tough, it was life-changing. It set me on a course. I feel like when we touch death, whether we personally touch death or we touch death in a way that is a person we care about dies, and when you're with people who are dying and who have died and their families, I feel like it clarifies. It snaps us into focus.
It does. One of the things that I love to say is that everything I've learned from dying. And that's, a lot of people, when I don't know them, think, oh, did you die? Did you have a near-death experience? Did you? And I say, no, I've spent my entire career surrounded by it. And it articulates so definitively what's important in our lives. We see it even on a global scale when we look at, mass shootings, these school shootings in the U.S. It mobilizes people really to show up differently, however they're showing up. It's terrible that those tragedies have to take place for that to happen, but we are so busy, we go so quickly, we are so distracted that's why I call it bruised by perspective, because the truth is perspective, slapping us on the face, doesn't do anything anymore. It literally has to leave a bruise. We have to look in the mirror and go, oh, shit, I'm bruised by that.
So it's like despair.
Oh, it's
bring you to. I tell people, I wish you the gift of despair, and they think I'm cruel. I'm like, no. You will learn so much faster when you experience despair, because despair leads to repair and leads to transformation and leads to insight and spark and catalyst to move you to the next level.
Yes. I always say the things that bring you to your knees are the things that cause pause, because you have to think before you get back up. And that's that's a lot of times we look at these sort of situations and we say that the lessons most of us have learned from are the ones that were hard, the ones that were tough.
So
and there is
true.
no greater lesson than death. And so instead of looking at death with such a lens, we live in a death-averse society. There are many societies in the world that don't look through the same lens at death as we do. And part of my mission is to reframe that lens and to redefine legacy as something we can embrace and use as a catalyst of change.
So give me an example, or give our viewers an example of what is an example of operating from a mindset that says everyday legacy.
Yeah, it really has to become a practice.
Okay.
It sounds a bit like it's a lot of work. It's not. It's just a conscious awareness. We are unconscious of so many things. It's easy to play in that unconscious space. So being conscious of something, actually, like having courageous conversations, it takes a shift to say, I'm going to be present.
Right.
I'm going to be here, and I'm going to engage in whatever this is that I want my everyday legacy to be. For me, it's impact.
What is your everyday?
For me, it's impact. I want to impact as many people. I want to redefine legacy as we know it, and I really want people to understand the power of tapping into that one little question: how do I want to be remembered? To understand how that can powerfully shift them to show up today.
So you ask yourself every day, how do I want to be remembered today?
I actually don't even have to anymore.
No, it's just part of your
it's just on,
consciousness.
For me, it's on autopilot.
Right.
For so many people, including the viewers who are watching, it's not there yet because they haven't surrounded themselves by death. There was a stat out years ago that the number of times a person will interact with the funeral home is the span of 7 to 9 years. So, it is not like going to Starbucks and ordering your coffee.
Right.
It's not an everyday experience for everyone. And most people, when they do experience, want to run away. They don't want to be part of the process. And so...
it's like... And there's a book called The Denial of Death.
Yes.
And we live in a death-denying society.
We do.
Yeah. Especially in North America.
Yeah.
Not so much in the Eastern world. The Eastern world is kind of like makes friends with death on a regular basis.
Very, very different impression. So making that an everyday practice,
right?
For me, it's on autopilot, but for those viewers where it's not on autopilot, it's just, I always say that the number one ingredient to getting from where they are to having it on autopilot is perspective.
Okay.
Just taking a deep breath in most situations that might normally anger us or bring us to a bit of frustration. It can be as simple as the clerk behind the grocery, in the grocery line, who doesn't necessarily smile and say good morning. It's easy for us to pass on our frustrations to, say things like good morning, make a point of saying it to them. Maybe it's not a good morning for them.
Right.
Maybe they're at work and they're a single parent and, they just came off nights and, it sounds like a lot to think like that, but it's not that hard.
So you're consciously interacting with people in positive ways, it sounds like, in your everyday legacy.
Listen, I'm doing my best, but we're all human. We're all human. It happens. Someone cuts you off in traffic and you have a moment of,
finger in the air.
And then you have to stop. And
right.
you just think, maybe they're racing to get to a hospital.
Okay.
And that's a quick reframe for me just to say,
reframing.
Maybe there's a reason.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a reason. Maybe they're just an arsehole. But I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're not. And that allows it to shift to sort of that eventually ends up on autopilot. And it's so much nicer to give your energy to that than it is to the frustrations, because the frustrations they're always going to be there. And they're only going to increase over time.
And Raisa says, I still believe that we need to reframe death in this society. Yeah, exactly, Raisa. And the other thing I would say to that is that it's such, a lot of people I work with as a psychotherapist are saying, I will do anything, to not be in association with death of a person, death of me, or death of a pattern, or change that represents a death. And I find that my work is often about having people make friends with the dark, make friends with the dark parts of themselves and of life, so that they can wake up, and various reasons, so that many reasons. But I would say that for me, as I hear this, what it sparks, and what in Sedona at the Women's Speak conference I was just at, that a lot of people were following me on, what clarified for me my legacy that I'm doing on an everyday basis, and I just want to declare it here and here, which is #disrupt family multi-generational bullshit. And that is literally what motivates me, what puts me on my path on a regular basis, on a daily basis. It's very, very powerful. And every person I speak with, if I can somehow tweak that a little bit in them, or inspire that a little bit in them, or live that way myself, to be an example, I will be doing that. The question for you, everybody, is how are you living your everyday legacy? How are you living your everyday legacy? And I feel such love for your messaging right now. It's such a powerful messaging. What was it for you that you transitioned from the funeral business to this? Like, what changed it for you?
Well, it's interesting. I haven't entirely transitioned.
Okay, so you did both.
So what's interesting is, 5 years ago, just this past January, I left my corporate work. I left my corporate day job, which was in the funeral space. Okay. And I started my own consultancy. So I am blessed to have some of the best clients out there, consulting clients who are still
So what do you consult them on?
Workplace engagement, culture, leadership.
Right.
So I'm really blessed that I have great clients in my management consultancy.
They must love you.
Well, I love them. I hope they love me back.
I'm sure they do. You are so sparkly and also deep. You got depth, man.
Well, it's interesting because for years, especially in my corporate life, I led with my head. I didn't lead with my heart.
Oh, yeah,
which is
not as rich.
It's not nearly as rich, and in fact, it doesn't open you to the opportunity to really meet people. And so I spent, really 15 years of my corporate life in a pretty isolated, insular world. I mean, I had great friends and great connections, but not heart-centric necessarily. It was mostly led with head and strategy and purpose.
And do you find that you can bring the heart-centric to the corporate?
I think there's room for it. There's no question. There's lots of heart in corporate. Just for me, I saw it elsewhere. And so I stepped out on my own, started my consultancy, get to do that every single day. Right. For me, the book, interestingly enough...
Tell me about your book.
Yeah,
Tell us about your book.
Yeah, so I'm a professional keynote speaker. I do a lot of speaking. I've done that now for over a decade. And I did that while I was corporate, and now still in the last 5 years on my own. And
by the way, just a quick interruption. You're going to be speaking. I'm part of the Speaker Slam Mastermind, and Cody is going to be speaking on Saturday at our Mastermind.
That's right.
You're just like so excited about that. I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
So you were saying about your book?
Yes. So in the corporate world, I was speaking again on my own in the last 5 years, and one of the things that a speaker agency owner, a friend of mine, said is you need to write a book. That's an authority piece. It's an important piece of the puzzle.
Let's do this thing.
And I thought, okay, great. And I sat down and I failed at writing a book 4 times. I couldn't do it. And I, in my very logical brain, thought, well, it's because I don't know how to write a book. I don't know how to actually write a book. So why don't I try writing about something that I'm just passionate about, see if it just flows out of me. Not that I'm not passionate about my work and employee engagement and culture and workplace, but it wasn't flowing out of me the same way.
Wow.
And so I thought, okay, well, I'll write about something that's near and dear to me. And so Everyday Legacy is not actually new to me. It's actually the name of my company and has been for over a decade now.
Oh, wow.
The operating name, not the operating name, but the corporate name. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to write about legacy. I'm going to write about redefining that term because so many people that I've engaged with over the years have it wrong. They've got it backwards. They work to leave this thing that they never realized that the benefit of, that they don't understand that the investment here has such a huge impact because they're gone. And so I started to write and I couldn't stop. And so that book flowed out of me in no time. I started working with a book coach to really give it nice definition and structure. And then just this past January was engaged with Page 2 Publishing out of Vancouver.
Nice.
So it's super exciting. The book comes out January 2020.
January 2020. It's called Everyday Legacy.
Everyday Legacy.
By Codi Shewan.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you can sign up for the information, which will lead to pre-order on everydaylegacy.com.
Okay.
And I'm super excited. I really do feel like it will change people's perspectives, which is my number one goal.
It's huge. I've written a couple of books. It's very powerful. It's extremely defining. It's extremely legacy-ish, like, you know, because you really are putting it out there in black and white on paper. And I'm really excited for how that'll all evolve for you, because it's a beautiful journey. It's a beautiful journey.
It's also vulnerable as heck.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Oof.
It's so...
Is it ever vulnerable?
I swear, people, I apologize.
It's okay.
But it's very, very vulnerable.
It's vulnerable because you're putting your opinion, your stake in the ground is right there. For everyone
line in the ground, stake
and
in the ground.
inevitably someone won't agree with you.
And who cares?
Not me.
We're going to play a little game called Sparked,
okay.
which I sort of acquired at the Women Speak Festival, and it's a very, very, very interesting little game. Sparked the game with inspiration, heart, and hilarity. Look up Sparked the game. It's really quite something. And I would like you to just spin the wheel. So we got a little wheel, and we'll do it as we're doing it. Yes. Spin it. Where does it land? Inspiration. Okay. Inspiration. So I'm going to go to the inspiration deck. There are these decks. There's adventure, opportunity, passion, and inspiration. So let me just open this up, because then I'm going to just have you shuffle these cards. Madre Dios. There we go. And just shuffle, please. And we're just asking Cody sort of an interesting defining question. All right. Here you go. Oh, wait a second. Hang tight.
I think those are...
Yeah, these are the happiness deck.
Those are the happiness deck.
Yeah, I kind of want to get the... See, nothing is perfect on this show, ever. Hi, Joelle. Hi, Sherry.
Perfectly imperfect.
Exactly.
Hey, Joelle. Hi, Sherry.
Yeah, here we go. Inspiration. Want to do those? Yes. Thank you.
This off.
Thank you, darling.
All right. Just choose any one.
Choose a card that you're drawn to, whatever you may be drawn to.
That one.
All right. All right. Inspiration. What's one of the most inspiring experiences you've ever had?
One of the most inspiring.
Hi, Lisa. Nice to see you. So we're playing Sparked. We're playing Sparked. What's one of the most inspiring experiences you have ever had? I'm stumping you.
I have so many to choose from, to be honest. When you live in a place of gratitude, even the smallest of things really start to manifest in big ways. I would actually think one of the most inspiring moments was that I visited an ashram several years ago and stayed there for only a week. I didn't live there, but that week was life-changing.
Really?
It really was life-changing. There was some moments within that time there that really were life-changing, life-defining. It brought a lot of perspective into a very narrow focus, which is what I needed at the time. I was working in the corporate world at that point, and I had a very broad vision of most things. I was trying to do a lot of things all the time, on top of traveling and balancing, all kinds of different multiple competing priorities. And at that ashram, I found that it just defined everything what really was important. It brought it right up to the top.
And also that part of the world, it's just so different.
Yeah, now I did mine in the Bahamas. So tough gig, right? Yes, the Shivananda Ashram in the Bahamas. Highly recommended. It's a great place to go
I'm imagining you in India or something, and no, you're in the Bahamas. Good for you.
Well, I mean, it's pretty close. When you step onto the beach and you look down, and Atlantis is there. And I've been to Atlantis. That place smells like money. So you can get the scent coming down the beach sometimes. But this ashram I wouldn't say ramshackle, but it's pretty close.
Well, I have to tell you that for me, it's a no-brainer. That for me, some of the most what is one of the most inspiring experiences for me have always something to do with the ocean and nature. The mountains of Sedona. I've never been to Sedona. Inspiring for me. Beautiful beach. Inspiring for me. Experiencing a walk in the middle of Toronto in a park. Inspiring for me, because I find nature magical. And it sounds like that ashram, where it was located, created that nature experience. Hi, Violetta, nice to see you. That nature experience that is I feel very, very, very inspirational. So and I believe I don't know what you think about this, but I really believe that nature is an incredible snapping into focus experience, being in nature.
Yeah.
And makes us, I think, get much more, if we pay attention, if we're not just walking our dog or really paying attention to the leaves and the magic and the beauty and the colors and everything, then it can really get us into, this is God, universe's legacy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How can we leave a legacy on a day-to-day basis?
Well, in particular for me too, water for me is a big one. And I always think, unless you're standing beside a puddle, water is vast and expansive.
Absolutely.
And it quickly brings into perspective just how really small our world is individually. And that makes it more manageable. Because
very good.
I find that, so much, again, we've said this a few times now, but life is moving faster than it's ever moved before.
Do you find that, everyone, that life is just moving at just so quickly?
Speed of light.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just aging as well. I don't know. Things today on my birthday too. You never know. But I do find that when you are able to sort of micro acknowledge those things, it quickly makes you realize, I got this. I can manage this.
Is this one of the things in Everyday Legacy?
It is one of the
micro acknowledging. I love how you said that. Micro acknowledging. Thank you for this, and I see you.
Yeah.
And I hear you.
And to your point about even taking your dog out for a walk.
Yeah.
You can do it then too.
At every moment.
You step out. I mean, you can't see it here. I'm not sure if Victoria's ever shown this, but the view here is just a panoramic of the core of Toronto. It's gorgeous.
I take pictures. People get my sunsets, my moon.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, you rolled up these blinds to show me. It's my first time being here. And I had a moment where consciously in my head I went, God, I'm so lucky.
Oh.
I'm so lucky. I'm lucky to be here. I'm lucky to know you now. I'm lucky to be able to see this view. I mean, there are so many people in this world, and this sounds like, a message we hear so often, but it's a message we need to continue hearing. There are so many people
fortunate we
less fortunate than us who, I've had about 5 sips of water today. There are people who have craved for a sip of water for a month.
Oh my God.
So, it's that kind of little thing that if you just micro acknowledge those sort of things, it really makes your heart full. And really that's all part of Everyday Legacy, because that acknowledgement goes into the grocery store. That acknowledgement goes into the service bay when you're getting your tires and the guy's grumpy. All of those different things help you to just narrow your focus and make you realize I can really change the world just by showing up authentically, who I am, with my gifts, and employing them.
I'm loving this, Cody, so much. 2 things. One of the things that I do on a regular basis, I love Richard Gere. So he does something that I sort of now do a lot, which is may you be well under my breath to whomever I encounter. May you be well, may you be well, may you be well. I'm not perfect at it, believe me, but I really intend to do that. And I smile a lot at people. I give people a compliment. I give people a genuine, no bullshit compliment about what it is that I'm seeing in that moment. And people are like, and that's part of my legacy. It's like, I just want to leave them smiling or leave them feeling good. Because if at the airports, the lineups and the customs agents and the crap that people go through, as soon as I get to them or whoever's in front of me, I give them I give them something, a smile. I give them a moment of my energy, and that's part of my legacy.
Honey attracts bees.
Honey attracts
bees.
Woo, I love it.
So when you're sweet and you're kind, people, I guess the challenging part, the disheartening part, is that kindness is not common anymore.
Kindness is not.
It's not common. And we don't take the time to say hello. We don't take the time to give compliments. And sadly, when we do so many times, people wonder why. Is there an ulterior motive? Why is there a kindness here? I've experienced that even recently, where I was offering kindness to a friend. And someone asked them, why is he doing that? Like, why is he behaving?
They were suspicious?
Yeah, suspicious. Like, well, what's the ulterior motive? And that sort of is a sad commentary on where we're at in the world when kindness is viewed as, something that may have an ulterior motive. But together, with us, your viewers, everyone else, I really think we can change that narrative back to the way it used to be. I mean, I grew up in a really small town.
Where'd you grow up?
Really small. Population, no one. Algonquin Village, which is north of the Thousand Islands.
Oh, wow.
Very small place. My big joke is we had one stop sign no one ever stopped at. Really, really small. But there, people would drive by and you would wave if you were out in the yard. And I would have friends over from the big city.
Yeah.
And they would say, how do you know everyone? And I would say, I don't know them. Or maybe I did, or if I didn't know them, you still waved. Yeah. It was just a kindness that you offered. Back then, actually, funeral processions, people pulled over. Like you don't see that. I mean, logistically, it would be a nightmare in a big city like Toronto.
Of course.
But even in my travels, I travel to Charlottetown to work with clients a fair bit, and even still in those towns, cars pull over for processions. And I think it's just a brief moment, but it means so much.
Means so much.
Means so much.
Cody, where can people find you?
People can find me. Literally, I'm all over the internet.
Okay,
but the best place is everydaylegacy.com. That's the best place.
Everydaylegacy.com.
That's the best place for pre-information. Eventually, the pre-sale for the book will be there.
Right.
Once we get closer.
And do you write a blog, or do you do anything like that?
I don't yet, because Everyday Legacy is really the book is new.
Right.
And this is actually one of the first times I've really talked about it out loud. I've had lots of one-on-one conversations, but out in the public forum for public consumption, this is one of the first times. So.
Well, and you'll come again. You'll come again with the actual launch.
I would love that.
So we'll do it again, and maybe we'll do some kind of a draw for a book for people, for the viewers. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for making it here. This is Toronto's traffic for anyone who's watching internationally. Toronto traffic is something else. So I really, really appreciate you being here, taking the time to come and join us on Courageous Conversations. I want to, do you want to leave anyone with a last messaging before we go? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but I always ask people that. If there's something that you want to sort of, what stands out for you, or what you want to sort of leave them with at this moment. Yeah,
I would say look for the simple lessons in life.
Say it again.
Look for the simple lessons in life. They're all around us. Yeah. They are everywhere. The difference is choosing to acknowledge them and do something with them, or let them pass us by. And those tiny little things are what create tiny little shifts, and that's really what we need right now.
And what stood out for me about you is the micro acknowledgements. I love that phrase, micro acknowledgements. Which is something that I'm doing on a regular basis, but I'm encouraging everyone to wake up and micro-acknowledge, as Cody says, so that you can leave an everyday legacy, not just a legacy when you're dead. No, what are you doing now, in this moment, in your life, that is legacy-based? Yeah. And I love that.
Realize the impact while you're here.
While you're here.
While you're still here.
The planet needs us, everyone. The planet is so hungry for us. And I just want to encourage people to keep having courageous conversations with yourself. Wake up, be conscious, wake up, courageously converse with yourself. And it's not easy, but do it. And then have a courageous conversation with someone else. I want to invite you to join my group, Courageous Conversations, because in Courageous Conversations, it's a closed group, it's a safe group for you to be supported and be vulnerable to be supported in your vulnerability, okay? And if you can, drop by my 2 pages. Hi, Michael Mantis. Nice to see you. Hi, Jennifer Smith. Great to see you. Thank you for joining us. I'm so pleased and love that you're here. If you can, drop by one of my pages, Courageous Conversations, have it a like, just give it a little like. And also, my other one is Victoria Lorient-Faibish, Courageous Conversations, give it a little like. And drop by my YouTube, which is called Courageous Conversations, youtube.com/Courageous Conversations. And of course, I'm all about Courageous Conversations. And of course, my website is visualizationworks.com, a little bit different, but Visualization Works. Codi Shewan, Everyday Legacy. What an honor and a pleasure and a joy to have you here. And I mean that from my deep, sincerest place in my soul.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for the work you do.
Thank you so much. Blessings, everybody. All right. Talk soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.